Hello guys, welcome back. My name's Nathan and today we're going to be diving deep into the Jack Hughes versus Kaapo Kakko debate, seeing how both players have performed so far this season and seeing who has been the better player for the first few games. Now, Jack Hughes and Kaapo Kakko have gotten off to their first few games of their NHL careers. Recently, we saw them battle it out in the Devils versus Rangers game too. So when it comes to the Kaapo Kakko versus Jack Hughes debate, who has been better so far this NHL season, and who was the winner of their first battle facing off against each other? For all the info and opinions, watch till the end to find out. Now, with the first and the second overall pick in the 2019 NHL Draft, Jack Hughes and Kaapo Kakko respectively, they're finally getting their feet wet in the NHL. And while their performances haven't exactly been Calder Trophy worthy up to this point, they've been getting a lot more used to the NHL as the games go by. Now, so far, for the first few weeks of the NHL season, both Jack Hughes and Kaapo Kakko have 1 point on their names. Kaapo Kakko with 1 goal in 4 games played, while Jack Hughes just got his first point in the NHL with 1 primary assist in 7 games played. Obviously, Jack Hughes has played more, Kaapo Kakko hasn't. Same thing with the New York Rangers, but the New Jersey Devils got their first win of the season against the New York Rangers, and Jack Hughes getting the last laugh versus Kaapo Kakko. Now, just to clarify a little bit, I am wearing the Devils gear, yes, but I do prefer the New York Rangers over the Devils. I like them quite a bit more, and I do prefer Kaapo Kakko as just a general NHL player and prospect. But this was an opinion of mine even before the draft lottery happened. This happened back in February. I was making my monthly mock drafts in the 2019 draft, same thing going with this year, the 2020 draft. But back then I had Jack Hughes #1 for multiple months, and while Kaapo Kakko was #2, it was always close, but he was never able to take that next step to really get over Jack Hughes until that point. But once February hit, that February and March period, that was when Kaapo Kakko was in the Liga playoffs and was absolutely dominant. I got to see the most of Kaapo Kakko that he did throughout that whole year in the playoffs, and from what I saw, he was one of the TPS's best players and one of the best players in the Liga at that point. And that was very impressive for the then 17-year-old, and that was when my opinion changed. It was always a super close battle, but at that point, Kaapo Kakko was just slightly the better prospect in my opinion, and was my #1 for the 2019 draft. And that opinion of mine never really changed too much. It was further strengthened at the IIHF World Championships, where Kaapo Kakko was dominant while Jack Hughes was kind of just okay. And that just further proved my point at that point that I thought Kaapo Kakko was a better prospect and the much better player now. But so far this NHL season, while I do prefer Kaapo Kakko and I still think he'll be slightly better than Jack Hughes, if not the same point in the next few years, Jack Hughes had a pretty solid stats when it comes to the analytics, while Kaapo Kakko is kind of the opposite. And while I had Kaapo Kakko as my #1 prospect in the 2019 draft, I had the potential around the same as Jack Hughes. Becoming an elite player in the NHL, I thought they were both going to be fantastic for years to go. But the main reason why he kind of put me over the top of Jack Hughes was the NHL readiness. He showed that in the Liga, he showed that in the World Championships, he showed that in the World Juniors, how he was able to dominate against men. And I thought it would be the same this season. I thought Kaapo Kakko would get a ton more points, be in a great opportunity with that first line of Mika Zibanejad and Artemi Panarin, but it's not exactly gone that way. While yes, he has got 1 goal, I have expected a little bit more from him, to be honest, and while he is on that second line playing with guys like Ryan Strome, there still is more to be expected, and just simply, he hasn't been as good as I expected. And while I thought Kaapo Kakko's potential was about as much as Jack Hughes, thinking they're both going to be elite players in the NHL, one of the main reasons why I had Kaapo Kakko as the better player and the better prospect was because he was simply a more NHL-ready player at that point. Dominating in the Liga playoffs, being great in the World Championships, and just being an absolute beast against men and NHL players in the World Championships. That was one of the reasons why he was put over the top for me. And I thought he was going to have a much better season this season than Jack Hughes. I predicted him as my Calder Trophy winner, and I thought that was that. He's going to get a lot more points, going to be a lot more ready, and he's going to get a much bigger opportunity. But it's kind of been the opposite. Playing with Ryan Strome, not with Mika Zibanejad or Artemi Panarin, has definitely weakened his case. And while he does have 1 goal in 4 games, Kaapo Kakko has definitely been less than I expected. And while Jack Hughes, on the other hand, hasn't been the best player for New Jersey, he's been very, very close. One of their top players, especially at offense. He's been super speedy, he's been super skilled, and has gotten a lot of the chances generating for New Jersey. And that's what I like to see too, because it was pretty much been the opposite of what I expected. While I did see Jack Hughes as a top 5 guy for the Calder Trophy, he's playing right now like an NHL ready player, much more than even I expected, which is seriously good for New Jersey. And while they aren't playing like a great team right now, Jack Hughes is still looking pretty good. And when we look towards the advanced stats too, it also gives us a good idea that Kaapo Kakko is playing fine, while Jack Hughes is still playing a lot better than him. And we'll look towards the expected goals for percentage stat, a stat that I think is super accurate in determining how a player is performing, especially by himself. And obviously the average for the expected goals percentage is going to be 50%. Right now, Jack Hughes standing at 47.32, while Kaapo Kakko is 27.25. On the New York Rangers, Kaapo Kakko is second last in expected goals for percentage, right behind Chris Kreider. And while Jack Hughes, yes, below average when it comes to the expected goals, that's pretty much the same thing going with all the New Jersey players, so I don't exactly blame him for that. Now, it's also good to note that the expected goals for percentage is not an adjusted stat, so you have to factor in the teammates there, specifically when it comes to Kaapo Kakko, who plays with Ryan Strome and Chris Kreider, both of whom are like bottom 5 for New York's expected goals stats, so it's not exactly the most favorable position. While Jack Hughes, on the other hand, specifically in the last game versus New York, played with guys like Taylor Hall for a very long time, and on that power play, guys like PK Subban, New Jersey's best players. And Kaapo Kakko doesn't get that advantage. I don't think that they want to play him with Zibanejad and Panarin, which I don't understand why they wouldn't. They're not budging on that, even on the power play. And Kaapo Kakko doesn't have a lot to work with either. When you have a guy like Ryan Strome as your center for any player, it's not going to go too well. Now, while Jack Hughes has had more of an opportunity, has played more games too, and has played with better teammates, Kaapo Kakko has proved himself throughout his draft year that he can play with bad teammates and still make it work and score a ton of points and a ton of goals. He hasn't done that in the NHL so far. It kind of shows how bad Ryan Strome is, but I think there needs to be a change there. Kaapo Kakko being on power play 1, I think would be amazing, and giving him some freaking ice time with Mika Zibanejad and Artemi Panarin, I think would boost his confidence and just make him a better player on the ice. And also maybe kicking out Ryan Strome from the team would also work too. But even factoring all the teammates and the lack of good teammates that Kakko has had, I still think Jack Hughes has been the much better player at generating offense and just being an offensive beast. I think Jack Hughes has been that guy for New Jersey, has been a guy sort of kind of carrying them so far. While Kaapo Kakko has kind of been on the sidelines, I wouldn't say he's been invisible for the New York Rangers, but hasn't been too much of a factor, which if you told me would be the case, I obviously wouldn't have predicted him to win the Calder Trophy. It's unfortunate because I thought he was going to be better on that second line, but it just has not been working up to this point. While Jack Hughes is starting to really find his chemistry and his groove, it's been kind of the opposite with Kaapo Kakko, and if it stays with the same lines, I don't really think that'll change. But while we're, of course, just a few games in this NHL season, I will crown Jack Hughes as the better player so far this season, which I honestly am impressed by. He's been impressive so far in his games for just being an offensive generator. And on a team like New Jersey, who, let's be honest, hasn't generated too much offense, it's impressive to see how well he's played on NJ. Again, I'm hoping it gets better for Kaapo Kakko. I think it will. If we see some changes, I think they'll be a much closer race. But right now, I would give the advantage to Jack Hughes, even if they're both even in the points so far. But of course, with this video, I need to hear your guys' thoughts down in those comments down below. So let me know what to think about the Jack Hughes versus Kaapo Kakko debate, pretty much 2 weeks in his NHL season, and of course the huge, gigantic question on to y'all. Who do you think has had the better season so far? Kaapo Kakko or Jack Hughes? But if y'all want some more Grav videos just like this one, you should click on this card right here to watch my video on Jack Hughes and why he is not a bust. Stop saying he is, dude, because he's not, obviously. But with this video, that'll be it. Okay? That'll be it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. if you haven't already. Again, comment down below your thoughts on the Jack Hughes versus Kaapo Kakko debate and who you see as the winner so far. Also, if you want to grow the Grav game, make sure you share this video with your friends. Also, trying to get up to 10K subscribers, boys. That is the next goal. I'm Nathan, and I'll see you guys next video or stream. Goodbye.